Do you want to get rid of that green tone in your SHO astrophotography images, but don't want to use that destructive SCNR? Then join me for this PixInsight tutorial on color correction without using SCNR. My name is Morten and you are watching Frost Astrophotography. There are a lot of people out there recommending SCNR as an early color calibration or color correcting step in PixInsight, although the process is destructive when used in that way. I'm not any better because I was also recommending that in my SHO processing guide, but now I know better and I want to share with you some simple step-by-step solutions that you can use instead of SCNR as an early color calibration or color correcting measure for your SHO images in PixInsight. Let's get this tutorial started by jumping into PixInsight, taking a look at the image here. I'm sure you can relate. This is the Rosette Nebula. It is an SHO integration with sulfur 2 in red, hydrogen alpha in the green channel, and oxygen 3 in the blue channel, evenly distributed. I do not have any advanced pixel math formulas for this integration. It has been run through the normal linear steps and stretched into this non-linear phase and initial integration. My first step here has always been to run SCNR to get rid of this green color in the image here. Going to make a copy of this, and then I'm going to open up SCNR and demonstrate. I say this today in my SHO processing guide, even though I think I might have to update that because I'm not using this step anymore. So SCNR at 0.8 strength, drag it onto the image and you get rid of all of that green. But after reading a little bit in the instructions from PixInsight or the user guide, I would say, for SCNR, and after watching SETI Astro's video also about SCNR being destructive on data that has not been color calibrated or color corrected, I'm not using SCNR anymore, or at least I'm not using SCNR as a first step of color correction or color calibration. For broadband images, I would suggest running through the spectrophotometric color calibration, of course, and for narrowband data like this, I would suggest using masks and curves, or popular scripts like the toolbox selective color correction. I'm going to undo this step now. I'm going to minimize the original image here, and then we are going to start color correcting this image as best we can without using SCNR. That starts by making a script here that is a color mask. You can do this or you can use the selective color correction, although it is my experience that the masking feature is not as good in selective color correction. So for the initial corrections, I would suggest using color mask and the curves transformation. Let me demonstrate. I will create a green mask as the first step here. I will then add some convolution to it, just slightly, to make it a little bit blurry. not to reveal any edges or something like that in the adjustments. You can see here now that the mask is very big and substantial. There's a lot of green in this image here. If I open up the toolbox, selective color correction now, just to demonstrate the difference in the two, and I will select a green mask here. I can select show mask and you can see that you get roughly the same, but there is a difference. As you can see, it's not as intense as the other script color mask. So I'm not sure if it selects as much, or if you can do some adjustments here. You could probably increase the intensity of the mask up here, of course. The smoothness of the mask you can increase or deselect. And the balance. You might come to something that is close to the same thing as the color mask, but I'm not sure. When the mask is done and you have added some convolution to it, you simply drag it onto your image here, and then you can disable show mask. In that way you can see what you're doing without being obstructed by the actual mask. Then we open up Curves Transformation, a preview window, and you select green to start with. And this is where your personal preference comes into play, so to speak, because taste is personal, and I'm not going to be the one to tell you to adjust exactly this much or that much. So simply drag something here, take this lever in the middle, drag it down to the right until you find a level that is somewhat suitable for you. Maybe something in the middle like that. And then you apply that to the image. And then we close Curves Transformation and the preview window, and we remove the mask from the image here. I have to say that this work is an iterative process. You will do this in steps, and you can't reuse the same mask twice, because after you have made color corrections to the image, you will have to make another mask, of course. Otherwise, it will include things that has changed in the image. You have changed colors, for example. Before proceeding with adjusting more green, I always like to attend to the blue areas in the image, because they are important to me in an SHO. And for that we need to make two more masks, one blue and one cyan. So I'm going to start with the blue here. I don't think there's going to be much blue, just a little bit. I will add some convolution to that. And then I will proceed by making the cyan mask in the same way. And I will also add some convolution to the cyan mask there. So starting with the blue mask, I'm adding that to the image here. And then I'm opening up Curves Transformation, another preview window. And this time we're manipulating the blue, but it's not so much blue in the image here. So I'm simply adjusting the blues a little bit up like that. And then I'm closing that. If you want to, you can also try to adjust the red a little bit on that blue mask. I don't think we have so much to adjust here, but I will open up the Curves Transformation again, still with the blue mask on here, and I will adjust the red a little bit down. You can see that we are We are manipulating a single little area there. I'm just taking the red a little bit down. So that was the manipulation for the blue mask. I will remove that. Then I will add the cyan mask to the image here. Make sure that you add it to the image and not drag it onto the workspace. Opening up a curves transformation again. Here we are going to increase the blue on the cyan. You can see here that you are making the washed out greenish blue a little bit more bluer. So I'm going to increase that according to your liking. And the same thing here. I will turn the setting to the red channel here. Then I will decrease the red in the cyan channel, making the blue a much more clear blue here. Apply that. And then I will remove the mask once more. Now it's time to make a new green mask. So I will go up to the usual color mask again. Take my 4 mask blur layers, select green, and then it will produce another mask. Now we can see that we have less green in the image here. I will add some convolution to that, and then I will add the mask to the image. Once more, opening up curves transformation again, and select green, preview again. And now I can make some more adjustments to reduce the green even further. This time it could be a combination of dragging the actual green down, and you can also select the saturation setting here in curves transformation, desaturating the green areas. So you can have a combination of both. First you can use saturation, and you will reduce that a little bit for green. Then we select the green channel, and then we reduce the green on that channel. When you are happy with the result there, you will simply apply that to the image, and then you can see how much you need to continue to manipulate the image here. Can make it a little bit bigger here so we can see. We already see that we have a nice starting point for an SHO image here. The next step here could be to open up curves transformation without any mask on whatsoever, and you can simply check to see if you can remove some generic green over the entire area. So grab that green, decrease it a little bit. Now you can see that even a subtle change have a very big impact on the image here. So be very careful. Just decrease the green ever so slightly. Now you can click on RGB if you want. You can increase the brightness a little bit on the entire image, and then you can reset the tool, and we are going to check on the general saturation and vibrance settings here, because maybe you want the colors to pop out a little bit more. Maybe you feel like, well, now they're starting to be fine, but I want them to pop out a little bit. And for that, you can use the saturation. I don't have any mask on whatsoever. I can increase the saturation of the entire image here. I will just do that a little bit like that. And then I will also select the vibrance setting here. And I will increase that a little bit also. You don't want to overdo it. Maybe I did too much on the saturation, so I will reset it and make a more subtle change here. A little bit more saturation, a little bit more vibrance. Then I will apply it to the image there. And now we're starting to have something that is fairly good to me. Now you can make smaller adjustments. If you feel like that you want to decrease this red a little bit, or if you feel like in the yellow areas here, there are still some green noise, or not noise, but some green tint that you want to get rid of, then you can do that with the selective color correction. You can open up the script and select, for example, the yellow mask here. We can check to see how much data we have. We can see that we have a lot of yellow data here in the image. You can, for example, decrease the green here in the yellow, but that also makes it more red. So if you do that, you might need to decrease the red a little bit. Also, depending on how much red do you want in the clouds here along the center part. That is a personal preference. So you can play around with the settings here for the different colors. You also might want to adjust the blue even more here. We can see how much blue we have, probably not much. And cyan. If you want to adjust the blue nuances here in the middle, you can open up the cyan one, and then you can add more blue, for example. If we add a lot more blue, you can see that we are manipulating all of this area here. You might not want to do that, but you can achieve the same effect if you are selecting cyan, but for example, manipulate the magenta channel. Now this is a more turquoise blue. If you decrease magenta, if you increase the magenta here, you will get a little more teal blue, a colder blue, so to speak. So this is a personal preference. How much blue do you want it to be? Maybe I want to add some blue and add some magenta in that blue mix to get it a more colder ocean blue, so to speak. So I will apply that now. Now we have come to the final steps here, I would say, in the initial color calibration of this image. We can open up SCNR if we want to now, and I can put 0.6 on the settings here to have a very subtle change. I can drag it on there, and you can see that it will take care of some residual green that was in the cloud here. This is after SCNR. This is before. You can see that we still have some green here in this area. So if you think that's too much, I can undo this. I can open up another mask, or I will make another mask here with the color mask. This is the final one. I will make it green once more. This should be a lot less green now if you compare it to the first mask that looked like this. We had a lot of green in the image. Now we only have this much. I will add some convolution to it. I will add it to my image here. And I will open up curves transformation one more time, a preview. I will select green here, and then I will adjust it down. But now you see that when you decrease green, you add more and more red. And maybe you don't want that in the image at this point, because I think I'm fine with the red. I just want to decrease the green. So that means that if I decrease green here and the red increases, I will have to select red as well here, and I will have to decrease red. And maybe I will have to manipulate the blue here also to keep the balance. If I increase blue here, you will see that I'm counteracting the other one. So I'm going to increase blue, but keep red down to get rid of that green. If you want to preview on and off when you're using the preview window here, you can use the top left button here. Now you can turn on and off. You can see what you're doing. You can see that we are manipulating the last green area here. If you don't want to manipulate, add or remove colors at this point, but you still want to try to get rid of the last green here without using too much SCNR, you could switch to saturation here, and remember that we have a green mask on. So select the saturation and you can drag it down. You can see that you're not decreasing anything. You're not decreasing a color, but you're simply desaturating some areas here. So I'm going to desaturate a little bit here along the areas with the last green to achieve what I want. And then I can remove this mask. If you feel like going further into the fine tuning and you want to combine color corrections with some more options than the curves transformation, you can open up the selective color correction once more. You can select a green mask here. You can see that we don't have that much green left, but here you can, for example, decrease green, and instead of green, add some yellow to it. So you can decrease the green, but with the same amount, you can add some yellow to get something other than red. If you're just removing green, you're getting a more reddish picture. But if you are adding yellow at the same time, you get a little bit more balanced here, I would say. So as a final step, that might be nice to remove some more or some last of the green there, and then simply add some yellow into it to try to keep that area from becoming too red. I really like to have some nuances between the red, orange, more darker colors in the nebulosity here in comparison to the lighter areas within. That is nice to have a little bit yellow on as well. You can also add some more advanced masks here. In the end of the correction phase, you could, for example, use a luminance mask here, and that will simply select all luminance in the image there. And you can play around with trying to manipulate the green a little bit here. You can see that now we're affecting the entire image in the same way as we did when we're using curves transformation. But in this tool, you have some more options to counter the effects of the green there. For example, you could decrease the green overall, but increase the yellow, for example, in the image in total, or some other colors. It's just, sometimes it is just a matter of trial and error to get the right color combination that you want. And sometimes it's not really possible to copy settings from one image to the next. It all depends on how strong of a signal you have in each of the different narrowband master channels. So you will have to play around with the final settings here. When you feel like you have come as far as you can with this image here, you might want to try SCNR anyway to see what happens if you remove a little bit of green in the image here. Let's say 0.5 value. As you can see, it is a very subtle change now. If we go back and forth, it is a little bit green here still in the image. But now SCNR is operating as intended. It is not applied to the image as a first mean of color calibration or color correction, but rather as a last step to get rid of the last green in the image there. There you have it, how to color correct or color calibrate your SHO narrowband image without using SCNR in a destructive way in PixInsight. Thank you so much for watching this video, and as always, if you like it, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel if you're not already doing so. Until the next video, I wish you have clear skies.